9 Formula 1 race wins. Pretty much no one saw coming. After 2023's depressively dominating Red Bull and Max Verstappen combo, what a joy the 2024 season has been for non-Red Bull fans. Surprise wins for Lando and Piastri has almost given my old McLaren supporting heart a heart attack from pure, unadulterated joy. Mercedes have battled back to give Russell and Sir Lewis top spot, and even Ferrari have pitched in to give non-Red Bull fans some much needed hope. Which leads me to thinking about some of the biggest surprise wins since I've been watching Formula 1. So that means some, not all, of the, in my humble opinion, biggest surprise wins from the 90s to now. Lando and Piastri's wins added some absolute joy to my sad little existence, but were no huge surprises due to McLaren being almost a fixture on the podium since 2023's second half. So I love me a list, and here then are my 9 top surprise wins. Number 9. Pierre Gasly, Monza 2020. Most of us love Pierre Gasly. From being sacked at Red Bull for being closer to Max than Perez has been this season, we genuinely sympathized with the man, who I personally always thought was quite quick. COVID smashed the 2020 season like a freaking tennis ball, and we entered a strange new world. Gasly was driving for AlphaTauri, Red Bull's B team, and before the 2020 Italian GP at Monza, the Frenchman was a 200-1 long shot at some bookies to win. Hamilton started from pole for Mercedes and Gasly qualified in 10th, just ahead of teammate and fellow Red Bull reject Daniil Kvyat. The race looked like more of the same for the then dominant Hamilton. He led comfortably with Gasly plodding around in midfield until a safety car had to be deployed because of Magnussen's Haas popping its power unit at a dangerous part of the circuit. Gasly was sharp enough to pit before the safety car was deployed. With the Haas stranded next to the entrance to the pit lane, the officials closed the pit lane to remove it. For some inexplicable reason, Lewis Hamilton still pitted, along with hair salon model Giovinazzi. Don't! When the safety car was pulled and racing resumed, Hamilton led from Stroll and Gasly before Leclerc had a massive shunt leading to a red flag situation. When the race was restarted on lap 28, Stroll folded under pressure and went wide. Hamilton received a 10-second penalty for his team's poor decision making and illegal pit stop, and Gasly found himself in the lead from Kimi and Carlos Sainz. The Iceman faded and Sainz pushed all the way, but Gasly snatched the win from Sainz and Stroll. This remained his only GP victory and was AlphaTauri's first win since Vettel won in 2008. It was the first win for a French driver since Panis won in 96, and the first time that Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull failed to finish on the podium since the 2012 Hungarian GP. Number 8. Esteban Ocon, Hungary 2021. A bit less popular than his 2024 Alpine teammate, next on our list is Ocon's 21 GP win in Hungary. Early in his career, Ocon looked promising, driving uncompetitive manner and Force India cars before becoming Mercedes reserve driver. He was thought to be highly regarded by Toto Wolff, and he joined Renault and teamed up with Ricciardo, who soundly beat him in the teammate battle, before leaving and being replaced by the returning Alonso. Ocon qualified 8th for Hungary in 2021 with Alonso 9th. Sir Lewis once again qualified top of the heap. Who was to know the genius we would see from Alonso to assist his teammate to the win? The start was chaos. Bottas decided to play wheelbarrows with Lando, taking him out when he braked later than late and smashing into the McLaren's back, which sent Lando into Max, also damaging the Red Bull. Then Bottas slid into Perez in the other Red Bull, taking him out as well. Not to be outdone by Bottas, Stroll braked late as well, but tried not to take anyone out by going to the grass and still managing to hit Leclerc, who then caused Ricciardo to spin. Chaos. A safety car was deployed for 2 laps before the race was red flagged. Leclerc joined the retirees with a busted engine and Verstappen's Red Bull was damaged but able to restart. As the cars pitted for tyres before the restart, Alfa released Kimi unsafely and caused a collision with Nikita Mazepin, shockingly taking the Russian out in possibly the only incident in his racing career that wasn't his own fault. Hamilton did not pit and restarted on Inters. The rest of the grid pitted for slicks. After 4 laps, he remedied his mistake and pitted, leaving the unlikely race leader Ocon, with Vettel chasing hard for Aston Martin. Vettel and Ocon pitted, and Hamilton fought his way back to 4th, with old rival Alonso in front of him. The Mercedes was flying a lot faster than the Renault, and Hamilton was the defending World Drivers' Champion. Alonso, though, had not forgotten their years of heated battle and held up Hamilton with a defensive masterclass for 12 laps before he finally locked up to allow Hamilton through. Hamilton would pass Sainz, but Ocon held firm to win from Vettel and Sir Lewis. Vettel would later be disqualified. It was Alpine and Ocon's first Grand Prix wins, with the team previously being blamed Renault when it had last won. It was the team under any name's first win since Kimi won for them at Australia in 2013 when they were called Lotus. It was also the first win for a French driver in a French team with a French engine since Alain Prost won for Renault in 1983 at the Austrian Grand Prix. 7th, Giancarlo Fisichella, Brazil 2003. I admit to being a Giancarlo Fisichella fan. The man never quite lived up to expectations, but when he was on, damn, he was brilliant. When he joined the grid in '96, he was the promising young Italian stallion. Then he got the Jordan seat next to Schumacher Light, and most fans were giggling like little schoolgirls from pure excitement. He almost won in Germany, and for '98 was signed by the '95 champions Benetton. And then pretty much nothing happened. By the time the man rejoined Jordan in 2002, he was still without a single race win and seemed doomed to be another wasted talent. Jordan lost engine supplier Honda and was stuck with Ford power. This being 2003 and not 1994, Ford was not the engine you wanted to be stuck with. Come round 3 of the championship in Brazil, and Jordan were not looking great. Fisichella qualified 8th. Teammate Ralf Furman 16th. The Italian had not come close to scoring in the previous 2 races of the season. Come race time and the track was flooded, which led to a delay in start time, with the race actually starting behind a safety car. After a number of laps, the safety car departed, allowing overtaking on the still wet track. Lap 18, Furman's suspension failed and he almost took out Fisichella, ramming Parnas at over 300 km an hour, leading to another safety car. After the safety car, the cars kept aquaplaning all over the place, and after undisputed Regenmeister Michael Schumacher himself aquaplaned off, another safety car was deployed. After this one returned to the pits, cars kept slip-sliding away like a Paul Simon song. The more you slip sliding away. And when Button crashed due to the wet track, the safety car was back, leading the race once more. During all of this, Fisichella kept his cool, and with everyone tiptoeing around the track in the wet, he had done extremely well to be close to the leaders. When Vettel crashed heavily, the safety car again took to the track. Alonso struck some of Webber's car's remains and also crashed, leading to the officials calling a stop to the race, but the chaos was still not over. Fisichella was leading, but his car overheated due to the relatively slow pace of the safety car and caught fire in Parc Fermé. Due to this chaos and some timing issues, the win was initially given to Kimi Räikkönen. Jordan appealed louder than an Australian fast bowler going for an LBW decision, and that's the shout, that's the one they wanted. And Fisi was awarded the win, giving him his first Grand Prix victory and Ford's first win since 1999's European Grand Prix. It was also Jordan's final win in Formula 1. Number 6, Sebastian Vettel, Monza 2008. Vettel retired a much-loved 4-time World Drivers' Champion with 53 Grand Prix victories to his name But in 2008, he was a German kid driving for Toro Rosso, the then name for Red Bull's B team. Come Monza, the 14th race of the season, 21-year-old Vettel shocked the world, becoming the then youngest pole sitter. But would the kid's nerves hold? On race day again, the track was wet with more rain predicted. Once more they started behind the safety car, a rolling start which favoured the youngster, who got away well and established a solid lead. The young man drove like the world champion he would become, ending up winning the race by 12.5 seconds over Heikki Kovalainen in the McLaren, to become the then youngest race winner in Formula 1 history. Number 5. Sergio Perez, Sakir 2020. The Sakir Grand Prix was raced in Bahrain and was one of those COVID creations. By 2020, Perez was racing for Racing Point, which would later become Aston Martin. He was seen as close to the top level of drivers, but not quite there, I guess kind of like he is seen now. And he was also pretty much expected not to win, very much like now. He had been given a chance to replace Lewis Hamilton when the man left for Mercedes back in 2013. It did not go well and McLaren sacked him after one season. After a duel with teammate Jenson Button, ironically in Bahrain, Button said the following: "I've raced with many teammates over the years and with quite an aggressive teammate in Lewis, but I'm not used to driving down the straight and then my teammate coming along and wiggling his wheels at me and banging wheels with me at 300 kilometers an hour. I've had some tough fights in Formula 1, but not quite as dirty as that. That's something you do in karting, and normally you grow out of it. But that's obviously not the case with Checo. Soon something serious will happen, so he has to calm down. He's extremely quick and did a great job today, but some of it is unnecessary and an issue when you're doing those speeds." As I said, Perez was sacked after that season and he joined Force India, who would become Racing Point, where he still was come 2020. He qualified 5th for the Sakir Grand Prix, slightly faster than teammate Lance Stroll in 10th. Russell was substituting for COVID victim Hamilton, and himself and Bottas pulled away in the Mercedes. An incident between Leclerc and Perez was the reason for a safety car deployment. And by lap 50, the race was led by Russell, Bottas, and McLaren's Carlos Sainz with Perez down in 9th. So how did he win the thing? Lap 54, King Latifi, go Tifi to us mere mortals, suffered an engine problem and doused the track full of oil, leading to a virtual safety car, leading to a bunch of pit stops. Perez made his way up to 3rd due to this. A few laps later, Gotifi's teammate Aitken had a crash and his wing ended up on the track, leading to a 2nd virtual safety car. Both Mercs pitted and managed to make an absolute ass factory of errors with both cars, leaving Perez in the lead. Now after the safety car, the virtual safety car, had been upgraded to a full safety car, Russell was flying, slicing through the field looking like catching Perez, till he suffered a puncture on lap 78. Meaning he was in the pits once more. Perez held on for the win with teammate Stroll 3rd, taking Racing Point's only GP win of their existence under that name. Ironically, the team had developed out of the successes of Team Jordan, and their last win was Brazil 2003, number 7 on this list. Perez also broke the record for the most number of race starts before winning one, 190. Number 4, Daniil Ricciardo, Monza 2021. When Danny Ric left Red Bull, I thought he did the right thing. He was the man that had beaten Vettel as teammates, when Vettel was the defending 4-time World Drivers' Champion. He was the man that had beat Verstappen in their first season together, and why should he be number 2 to the arrogant young prince of all things orange? Yes, I was very wrong. At Renault he looked okay, and he got them on the podium. Then he signed for the Papayas, and boy was I excited. Finally we now had a proven race winner, and he would show Lando the way to greatness. Yes, I was very wrong again. Twice in 2 possible times concerning Mr. I drink champagne from my sweaty shoes. Ricciardo never clicked at McLaren. It was said that the car was extremely unsuited to his style, and he was pretty much smashed by Lando like he was called McGregor, and Lando answered to the name Khabib. Then came Monza. Oh, beautiful Monza, giver of shocking wins, and I just love Monza overall. Daniil qualified 5th, behind Norris in 4th, and then finished 3rd in the sprint to start the main race in 2nd due to Bottas receiving a grid penalty. At the start, Ricky Smiles rolled back the years and pulled away first after passing Max. After some pit stop shenanigans, Max tried overtaking Lewis and ended up almost decapitating the man. Both retired after their attempt at NASCAR-style Formula 1. Ricciardo ended up winning with teammate Lando Norris 2nd for his 8th and so far final Grand Prix victory. It was his first win since jumping into the pool after winning in Monaco in 2018. It was McLaren's first win since Brazil 2012. Number 3. Button, Canada 2011. When Button won the World Drivers' Championship in 2009, we were delighted. He had transformed himself from the overhyped, arrogant, or as we might say at home, windgat kid into a much-loved champion. So why was his win in Canada 2011 so surprising? For the manner in which he did it. Button qualified his McLaren 7th, with teammate Lewis Hamilton starting in 5th. And guess what? The racetrack was basically a river come start time, and they started behind a safety car once again. After 5 laps, the safety car retreated to the pits, and Webber and Hamilton had a coming together with both dropping down the grid. Button ran wide and dropped to 7th from 5th. The not yet Sir Lewis tried overtaking Button and the two connected, leading to Hamilton's retirement and another safety car on lap 8. By lap 13, the safety car left, and Button, who had pitted for Inters, won himself a drive-through penalty for speeding behind the safety car, dropping to 15th. He recovered well, but on lap 19 a huge rainstorm hit, forcing him to pit for wet and dropping to 11th. A little later, the safety car was again deployed due to the rain, and after 6 laps behind it, the race was suspended. After more than 2 hours, the race restarted behind the safety car with Vettel leading it. The safety car remained in the lead for 7 laps, and when it left, the circuit had dried enough for Inters. By lap 37, Button attempted to pass Alonso, and they touched, with Alonso beaching on a curb and another safety car being called. Button suffered a puncture due to the coming together and was 21st and dead last when the safety car was pulled off. Due to really solid driving, he was back up to 14th by lap 44. The track dried, and the drivers were pitting for slicks, and now Button had risen from 9th after his pit stop to 4th. Catching the front 3, Vettel, Schumacher and Webber. Heidfeld and Kobayashi had a coming together on lap 56, causing a 6th safety car deployment for the race. I hope that safety car driver got a bonus that day. After the safety car, Button got past Schumacher and Webber and was now catching Vettel. Come the final lap of the race, and Vettel was just 0.9 seconds ahead of Button. Vettel went wide at turn 6, and the McLaren took the lead for Button to win the most unlikely of victories ahead of Vettel and Webber. Number 2. Maldonado, Spain 2012. Ah yes, Pastor Maldonado. One of the most unlikely drivers to win a race, but he did, and he did a brilliant job that day in Spain. The Pastor shockingly qualified first, with teammate Bruno Senna 17th. At the start, Maldonado's clutch slipped and he tried to block Alonso, pushing him wide, but the Spaniard still managed to take the lead. Maldonado rather surprisingly kept pace with Alonso, staying just far enough behind to protect his tyres. By lap 25, Maldonado was lapping quicker than leader Alonso, and Williams pitted him for his second stop and hard tyres. Came out 3rd behind Alonso and Kimi. A lap later, Alonso pitted and came out behind Pastor. So when Kimi pitted, Maldonado was left clear. On lap 32, Williams told him to manage his tyres and keep his 7-second lead over Alonso. By lap 41 though, Alonso was catching quick, and he pitted again, but a mix-up resulted in a slow stop, and Maldonado was now 3rd behind Kimi and Alonso. Alonso pitted, himself exiting 3rd, and Maldonado used DRS to take the lead from Kimi. By lap 49, Alonso was within a second of Maldonado. By the lap 60s, Alonso had grip issues, and Maldonado hung on for his one and only, not only victory, but podium. It was Williams' first victory in 130 races, the previous win being Juan Pablo Montoya's at the 2004 Brazilian Grand Prix. And so far, it's also been their final. And that brings us to number 1. Olivier Panis, Monaco 1996. Panis was a hell of a driver, but he was stuck in a bad team at Ligier. For the 96 Monaco race, Panis qualified 14th with teammate Daniil's 17th. The Ligier had managed to score only 1 point in the 5 races before the Monte Carlo showpiece, so it was nowhere near the pace. I let Wikipedia describe the first few laps to you, and I quote, "During the warm-up session, Montemini crashed his 40 coming out of the tunnel, and the team's lack of spare car meant the Italian was unable to start, leaving 21 cars on the grid. Hill overtook Schumacher in Zandvoort, while further back Jos Verstappen, who had opted to start the race on slicks, slid straight into the wall. The two Minardis were then eliminated when they tangled coming out of the first corner. Hill began to pull away, while pole sitter Schumacher lost control coming out of the lower Mirabeau and hit the wall. Coming into Raskas, Barrichello spun and retired after 5 laps. There were only 13 cars remaining, as Ukyo Katayama had an accident, Ricardo Rosset had an accident, and Deniz had transmission trouble and retired. A significant gap began to open between the leaders and Eddie Irvine in 4th. A queue of 8 cars formed behind the slow Ferrari. Berger retired from 3rd on the 10th lap with gearbox trouble, leaving 12 cars, while Heinz-Harald Frentzen damaged his front wing trying to pass Irvine, dropping to 2nd last ahead of Badoer." End quote. So by lap 31, Brundle spun, leaving 11 cars. Hill was leading, looking in control, and he blew his engine. Alesi took the lead. He led for 20 laps. His suspension failed, handing Panis the lead. Villeneuve was taken out by Badoer, who himself was 6 laps down on lap 66. The race reached its 2-hour time limit, and Panis was just ahead of McLaren's Coulthard. Irvine spun, tried to rejoin, and was hit by Salo, who was hit by Hakkinen, with all 3 retiring, meaning only 4 cars actually finished the race. Panis winning his only race, winning Ligier's first in 15 years. And with that, we've reached the end of our list. I quite enjoyed working on this one, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you already subscribed and enjoy the content enough to share it with fellow Formula One fans. May God bless you. Goodbye.